Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the PSGL Season 26 Evaluation Race number 6, Grid 1, here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As you can see, we're going to have a short qualifying of 18 minutes, followed by a 50% race. I should be very clear about that. My name is Austin Smith, and we have a wide variety of drivers here. We have 14 right now. We're waiting for some more, I think. It should get underway any minute now. A couple things to note here for this race. As you can tell by the title, it is an evaluation race, meaning no championship points are given here. No championship will be won or lost. This is just about placing the drivers in the tiers they need to be in to have competitive leagues when the season starts in 2 weeks. Pretty much 2 weeks. Although it's not 100% sure that the league that the season will actually start, the season 26 will actually start in 2 weeks. We've heard from Connor, one of the organizers, one of the league admins, that there is the possibility that the season 26 start will be pushed back in case certain bugs and glitches are not fixed yet in the online mode. As we see drivers readying up, we see them light up in green there. So we are getting underway very, very shortly here. Give it another 30 seconds for Evaluation Race 6, Grid 1. And we have plenty of drivers here. We have Fabi, Young Lights. Young Lights, one that I think is going to be very interesting to talk about, as he was in the F2 last season. Remember, season 25, PSGL had 6 tiers. Plus the FP, so effectively 7 tiers. But yeah, very, very interesting. Young Lights made it into the F2, so the second highest tier. He finished with 10 points on the season, got 2 fifth place. Oh, sorry, not Young Lights, my bad. Oisin McGinn, I completely messed that up. My apologies. Oisin McG was the one. I don't know if he's here. Completely messed that up. I apologize. He is, in fact, not here. So, well, that just rendered that kind of useless, that sort of little factoid. He was supposed to be here in this grid, but apparently wasn't able to make it. At least that's what it looks like. So, I don't know how that ultimately, how that's ultimately going to be handled by the league admins, as Connor's there in the chat saying 4 absences for this race. We're still getting underway, but yeah, 4 drivers missing. And I'm looking through right now to see if we have anyone here who last season. We get a huge round of applause. I don't know what for, but yeah, 18 minutes. And by the way, one thing to note here that is different from the normal sort of PSGL season, from the normal regulations, is that all the drivers, no matter where they qualify, are going to have to start on the soft compound tire. So keep that in mind. A driver that doesn't do that is going to have to pit at the end of lap 1 to get onto the soft compound tire. As we do have our first drivers leaving the pit lane right now. The first ones are Packer, YT, Gendrick, Vapor, and Toby. I think it is, yeah, it is indeed Packer. No, it's not Packer, my bad. It is, I think it's Gendrick. Yeah, Gendrick, who was the first one out, who is now heading towards Lake Combe on this 7-kilometer long monstrosity of a track. And I say that with all the love I have for this track. Spa, obviously, a fantastic, beautiful track. But 7 kilometers, by far the longest track on the F1 calendar. In fact, by exactly 1 kilometer longer than the second longest track, which is Baku, the Baku city circuit at Azerbaijan. However, this track also really fast here. Oh, as there we see Jendrik losing the car a little bit in Puhon. That's something that the driver's going to have to watch out for. That inside curb is one that bites back. You don't want to get on that. And another slide there from Jendrik. This might actually hurt Packer's time. Packer's run to the line. He might have to slow down a little bit here, and I think he did, to leave some space to the car in front. Space shouldn't be the issue, really. Every driver, as Jendrik now lets him by. So it will indeed be Packer who's the first one to set a lap time, most likely. At least he will be the first one to start a flying lap. And yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see as he comes across the line here to start his lap into turn 1. Let's go on board. Into La Source, turn 1, tight hairpin. Very tricky on the start. We're going to see a lot going on there at the start of the race. Now down towards Eau Rouge, then back up towards Radion. And now onto the Camel Straight. DRS open right away. Perfect reaction time right there. As he now heads down the Camel Straight into Les Combes. Turns 5, 6. Wait a bit. And 7. There it is. Now into Bruxelles. Turn number 8. English speakers will probably call it Brussels, but it has a French name, so it's pronounced Bruxelles. Now, no name corner, speakers corner, Jackie X corner, whatever you want to call it. Turn 9, we just saw it, and they're heading towards Puhon. Just a slight lift here. That's how much downforce these cars have in 2020. Now to Campus. Turns 12 and 13 right here into Stavilo. Make sure you stay within the white lines at all times. And he does. Gets a bit of slippery here from Shabs. Oh, this is getting close. Oh, they touch, they collide, and that is the hot lap over here for Packer. Toby sets the fastest lap. How did Toby get out so quickly? What happened there? How did Toby make it to the line so quickly? I'm surprised now. But I completely missed it. Anyway, 1 minute 41.7. But what a move that was from Shabs. Did not see that there were guys behind him. That there was Packer behind him who wanted to get past. Jendrik now, P2, 1 minute 44.8. Spaghetti Chips, 142.1. We have them all coming through. Someone going slow there. Someone going into the pit lane, in fact. I think Fabi is going to make it to the line next. Yes, he is. 1 minute 41.3. We just saw him cross the line there. 141.3. That is provisional pole this early on in the session. We have Toxic Tomato coming through the bus stop chicane. For him, what will it be? 1 minute 41.3 as well, but slightly better. We're talking 600ths of a second. And I think Young Lights is coming through as well. He invalidated his lap. Lord Alam coming through the final couple of corners. And for him, it is P8, 145.1. The only one still out on the left is Shabs, who had that incident with Packer. Doesn't have any damage from it, so he can actually go on and set a lap time. But especially in an evaluation race like this, that is something the administrators are definitely going to look at and draw their conclusions from it. On an out lap, blocking someone who is on a flying lap, certainly not seen very positively. Let's just say that, as Shabs now into P9, 1 minute 45.6. We have Danny, Vapor, and Packer on out laps. They're going to be pretty much the only ones as Danny has just left the pit lane. Vapor right now is in Les Combes. And Packer, yeah, Packer might be the first one to get a little bit closer and set another lap time. So it will be Packer, then Goated, or Vapor, and then Danny, the next three. As we have someone slow on the Camel Straight, yellow flags there for a second. I think that may have been Young Lights on an in-lap, or it could have been either Lord Alam or Shabs. It's hard to tell really, but I think, oh, this is a dark blue. This is either Lord Alam or Shabs. Probably Shabs, who's now in Brussels, as we have Packer now coming to the line to start his, hopefully his first lap that actually counts, and hopefully this one doesn't get ruined. Into La Source he goes. I wanted to show you the whole track, but I showed you most of it, so we're just going to rejoin on the exit of Stavelot and go back on board with him to show you the rest of the track. You probably know it by now. Most F1 fans know this track in and out, but for those of you who maybe tune into a league racing stream, a sim racing stream for the first time, don't know much about motorsports, don't know much about this track, we'll show you the rest of it. Through Brussels he goes, downhill, you can see it right here, wonderful shot. Really tricky corner, the understeer is real around there. It's hard to get the car turned in. Now to Pujon, as I said, slight lift, almost flat out. You just go off the throttle very, very shortly. Try to carry as much speed as possible around there without leaving the track, without exiting in between, or getting outside of the white lines. Now Stavelot, this is where we were. This time Toby gets out of the way quite well. The curb, Paul Frere, flat out, and now a long flat out part begins here. Heading towards Blanchimont, a once corner of bravery, now not so much anymore. You can take it flat out easily, even in the race. It's only tricky if you go side by side with full cars, with full fuel on board. Now to the bus stop chicane and towards the line. Packer with a 1 minute 41.7, my apologies. 1 minute 41.7, slightly 200ths of a second behind IRC Toby, who himself just started a lap here in La Source. We also have Danny coming through. Danny now heading towards... Oh no, he has invalidated his lap. You can see the track map on the right side. It is all red. That means he has been, or this lap, whatever time it will be, has been removed because he did leave the track at some point. Maybe cut a corner, extended the track somehow. So he's going to start another one right away. You got to remember, the track is very long here. 7 kilometers, 1 minute 41. The lap time as we see. So you don't have that many runs. If you mess up, well, that's 1 minute and 40 at least gone. Then you have to get back to the pit lane potentially, and that's more time lost. Then you have to get back out. That's another minute 40. So definitely a smart call here, I think, from Danny to just stay out despite invalidating his lap. Staying out, trying another attempt on the same tires. As he goes through Les Combes, tries to get it as planted as possible. It runs wide and again invalidated. Runs too wide there. The game does not like that. Calls it, or considers it to be an illegal advantage gained. And that lap time has also been removed. That lap invalid for FTRL Danny. He needs to get one done at some point, because otherwise he's really going to struggle. We have Young Lights now in Les Combes, getting through the first sector, really into the second sector by now already. And it seems like a lot of people in the chat are cheering for Toby. Guys, remember, this is just an evaluation race. This is not about points. This is not about fame. This is not about anything right now. Oh, as Young Lights spins. How did he hold that? Unbelievable. He didn't even lose much time. Of course, the lap is ruined, but he didn't even lose much time. That is amazing. Tactician, meanwhile, goes provisional pole with a 1 minute 41.1. Beats out Toxic Tomato by almost 2/10, just under 2/10. As Fabi now comes across the line, he improves to P2. So a slight improvement there. Beats out Toxic Tomato, splits the Mercedes with the McLaren, and into P2 he goes. We have Ivan Chu in P7. He's trying to settle up right now. We have Mr. B-Boy Worm. He has invalidated, as you can see. Same goes for Jendrik already. I would assume that happened in Eau Rouge / Radion. Lets the other McLaren by. What about Shabs? He just started a lap as well. He's heading towards Playcom. So we go back to Ivanchu actually, as he's still on one here. Nice onboard shot of the Ferrari heading towards the curb Paul Frere. Tricky section that. I can show you in an onboard why it's so tricky in this one. Even though it's flat out, it can be really, really tricky, and it can cost you the whole race. As he now heads towards the bus stop. It doesn't take much curb here, interestingly, so that might lose him some time. He still improves up to P4, half a second behind Tactician. So that Ferrari certainly seems competitive, to say the least. Tactician is on he's on an in lap. Yeah, he goes into the pit lane here. Very tight pit lane as well. You've got to watch out for that. Tricky entry. And let's go to... Oh, Shabs has invalidated. Lord Alam has just started a lap. Mr. B-Boy. Oh no, he's on a lap. Yeah, he's actually on a lap. You can see that he has the ERS mode 2. If you look at the bottom right, the number 2 next to the ERS means he is in hot lap mode. So he's actually going for it. This is a lap on speed. This is not cooling it down. This is not going back into the pits. Unless he really wants to get back into the pits very, very quickly. But it's a little bit too early for that to really, you know, press the issue. So I think this one right now is actually for a competitive lap time. And indeed it is. He stays out, tries to get the final chicane nailed down. And he does improve by 4/10. No position gained, but certainly some time gained. Brother Lamb, he's on one as well. As he now... let's go on board. Look at the left side here, how close the wall comes to the exit of the corner. That is the tricky situation on the exit of the curb Paul Frere. And that is what the driver's going to have to battle with in the race. You don't want to go too wide through there. You don't want to go side by side through there, because that might end you the race. If you get shoved wide just a little bit, you have no room for error right there. And you really, really have to be careful as Lord Alam, and look at that. Gets P9, but loses out against Mr. B-Boy Worm by 0.04 of a second. And that's the improvement that Mr. B-Boy Worm in the Haas did on the previous lap. So you can tell right here that was actually worth it. Otherwise Mr. B-Boy Worm would have been in P9 and Lord Alam in P8. Who else is on a lap right now? I think Packer has invalidated, so he's still going for it, but yeah, that lap time is not going to count, but he has to stay out, really. There's no point coming into the pits right now. It takes too long. Oh, he does actually come in. This is tricky. This is tricky now. You only have 1 minute and 40 to get out on track. This might be too late for Packer, as he is now heading into the pit lane, into his pit stall. And will he be able to get out in time? Plenty of drivers on an out lap right now, including Vapor, Spaghetti Chips, and Toby. Plus, obviously, the top 5, all of them are out on the out lap. Young Lights, meanwhile, on a flyer. as he heads down the Camel Straight. This is now where it's for all the marbles, at least all the marbles on the grid. This is where it's decided. Young Lights. Packer retires. He did not make it out in time, so he will remain at the very best for him in P6. He might move further down the order. If Spaghetti Chips is able to improve, then he might actually push Packer down. Same goes, obviously, for everyone else who's in P7 or beyond right now. Mr. B-Boy Worm, Lord of Lamb, Jendrick, Shavs, Denny, Young Lights, and Vapor. 3 of them haven't even set a lap time yet. We're in the final minute. Remember, for those of you who don't know, once you start your lap, before the clock hits 0, you are allowed to finish your lap. So it's not that you have to get to the line by the time the timer hits 0. You are actually allowed to finish your lap, as Young Lights has some traffic there. Manages it well. The drivers are pulling out of the way. He comes through the final corner to set a 1 minute 41.4. That is P4 for him. And that will most likely be his qualifying over now. Tactician, meanwhile, he is improving in the first sector by less than a tenth. So slight improvements there, but it's slight margins as well. It's very fine margins. And Tactician in a good mood here, it seems, to improve his time. Second sector split will come after this corner right here after Stavilo. And it will be 2 tenths up. This could be a 1 minute 40 if he can get it through the line. Final sector isn't really that many corners, but he has to nail the bus stop chicane. He has to get it right. Yellow flag on the Camel Straight. That isn't of our concern right now. It might be of the concern of some of the drivers, though. But I think that was just someone slowing down, trying to get out of the way, and I think that was Young Lights. As now Tactician through the final corner, and he comes 1 minute 40.996. That is about as fine as you can cut it. Fabi has invalidated. Toxic Tomato has invalidated. Ivanchu has invalidated. Toby is still out on 1. Coming through Puhon here. Carrying a lot of speed through it. How much can he improve, if at all? Through Campus he comes. Good line through there. Uses as much of the apex as possible. Through Stavilo, how much does he improve? A tenth and a bit. That would put him ahead of Ivanchu right now, but not much further. He needs to nail the bus stop chicane to maybe, just maybe, improve a little bit and maybe get into the top 4 here. Beat Young Lights. Can Toby do? We also have Danny. We have to watch out for him. He is right behind Toby right now. You can not see him in the background there, but he will come across the line rather short. There he is. But Toby moves up to P5, but that is that. And Danny actually goes slow. He just wants to set a lap time. P13 at his Vapor. Not able to make it, and that will be the end. And it is Tactician on pole position for the evaluation race. And I have to say, I'm not really surprised. Those who've been around a little bit obviously know how quick of a driver Tactician is, how fast he is, and how talented he is. So, not really a surprise there. Fabi made it close, though. Made it really close. But in the end, Tactician comes through with pole position. But that doesn't mean too much around this track. We have 22 laps of racing in front of us, and it might just be that the pole sitter does not actually turn out to be the winner. Certainly a possibility around here where overtaking on the Camel Straight especially is incredibly easy. Once the DRS is enabled on lap 3, we will see people just fly by each other. And it would be in Tactician's interest in turn 1 to already pull a little bit of a gap if possible. But turn 1, La Source, quite tricky. to get right. It might be that we see what the real F1 has seen at numerous occasions. Crashes, incidents, accidents, collisions, whatever you want to call them. It might just be turn one to be the most crucial one at the start of the race here. And you certainly won't win it in turn one, but you can definitely lose it there. As we have the order right here. Tactician on pole, Fabi second, Toxic Tomato third, Young Lights fourth, Toby in fifth, Spaghetti Chip sixth, Ivanchu seventh, Packer eighth, Mr. Bebo Worm ninth, Lord Alam in 10th. And you saw the rest of the grid. So, the drivers are now getting ready. The setups are locked in already, so there is Parc Ferme, which means the setups from qualifying can only be altered very, very slightly. In fact, they cannot be altered at all in the setup menu. All the drivers are allowed to do once they do actually get to the grid is they're allowed to change the differential and the brake bias. Everything else is locked and cannot be changed. So the drivers are now choosing a strategy for the races. We will have a formation lap, I would assume. Yes, we do. And we get the pit stop strategy as well. We see here soft to hard for many of them. For some of them, soft to medium. So this is very interesting. So soft to medium seems possible for some drivers, but not for others. So Tactician leads the way. Very important on the formation lap this year is that, yes, there is actually tire wear. Last year in F1 2019, there was no tire wear on the formation lap. That has changed. I hope the drivers know that. They should by now. So you have to watch out and make sure that you actually don't wear out the tires too much. And you actually, as much as you want to put tire temperature, or as much as you want to put temperature into the tires, you don't want to put wear out of them. So you have to be really careful with how you warm up the tires. As we look through the field a little bit, we see a lot of drivers going for the soft to medium strategy. Some of them, though, going for the soft to hard. It's very tricky to actually switch this through. But, yeah. So this is really going to get interesting as we lost a name. And I think that is Young Lights, yeah. So if you see a nameless driver in a Red Bull, one of the bugs that we had on F1 2019, that nameless driver in the Red Bull is going to be Young Lights. A little bit weird this, but unfortunately it does happen. So we have attack in Tactician on pole position, and we have attack in Vapor Goated Tack on the final spot of the grid in the Red Bull here. So that's the situation. Two tacks spanning the whole field. And Young Light says it's not letting him jump into the car. Well, it might be that it just doesn't do it on Formation Lab. Hopefully you'll get into it when the race starts. So yeah, a lot of drivers intending to pit onto the medium. Some drivers wanting to go for the hards. I think for the hards, the pit window would be around lap 6 to 8. And for mediums, lap 8 to 10. But yeah, Connor in the chat there saying something very important. Your race pace matters, not the result. So if you have good race pace, even though you had some adversity, it doesn't matter too much. Your pace is what matters, not the result. As we're getting ready here, we're waiting. Something's going wrong right now. I think it might be bugged out. We've told everyone it's soft to medium, says Connor. So it should be soft to medium then. Don't know why it showed us soft to hard there. Glitch lobby again. Yeah, this could very well be the case that we have another glitched lobby. Hopefully not. I think we have a glitched lobby. Ah, that is so unfortunate. Technical difficulties here for this race. How does F1 Esports do it? How do they never get something like this? You absolutely love to see. We get the pit strategy thing again, and we're still waiting. Are we going now? No, I think we're still glitched. There's probably one person who's holding it up, and once they leave, it would be fixed. But you can't really shove someone out like that. I think it's a glitch lobby, and we might actually have to restart this whole lobby. We need a verdict, I think, from Connor. Connor says Young Lights needs to leave. Young Lights needs to leave. So we're waiting until he gets that message and follows. One thing to note as well, if a driver in the actual season leaves and then rejoins, they are disqualified. Here in the evaluation race, that is perfectly fine, because again, they're only looking at the pace, at the race pace, not so much at the result. So the, let's say, the competitive integrity isn't of utmost importance. It's more about seeing how the drivers behave in battles, how their general race pace looks like, and so on and so forth. So it could very well, it is very much allowed for Young Lights to leave now and then try to rejoin later in the race. But yeah, he's still in the lobby, I think. So he hasn't left yet. I think it's Young Lights who needs to leave as well. He seems to be bugged out in some way, and if once he leaves, I think we might actually get underway. As we are communicating with the online services now. Yeah, I gotta have a quick nap now. Yeah. Oh no, here we go. Migrating host, and my game has crashed. My game has crashed.